This is Board Games Insider, the podcast that Tom Vassell said would never make it to 10 episodes.
This is Board Games Insider, where publishers Ignacy Cevicek, president of Portal Games, and Stephen Bonacore, president of Stronghold Games, discuss the hobby board game industry from the inside, providing you with news, advice, and a look behind the curtain into both of their companies. Ladies and gentlemen, here are Ignacy and Stephen.
Hello, Ignacy Cevicek, Portal Games.
And this is Stephen Bonacore of Stronghold Games and Indie Game Studios. Ignacy, this is episode 135. We're recording this on March 8th, 2020. Board Games Insider is a proud member of the Dice Tower Network, and Tom Vassell did not beat me at a single game at Dice Tower West, except who could eat more at the buffet. He won that one.
I have to say about all these intros. Every single week you somehow mock Tom Vassell, but he doesn't listen to our podcast, so he doesn't know it. So I was thinking if he has a birthday, we can do like a remix of all these invites, like 2 minutes of your comments about him. And send him as an MP3 file so he can catch up with the podcast, the most important part of the podcast, of course.
that would be great. We could go scrape out that, 10 seconds on every podcast
Exactly.
and send it to him. Happy birthday, Tom. Here's what we say about you. I took my inspiration for that from Eric Summerer, who does absolutely an amazing job of adding that intro. He says at the beginning of the Dice Tower podcast about and Tom Vassell, the Barry Manilow of board gaming, or things like that. He just says these amazingly funny things. That's the one he used at Dice Tower West because we were at the Westgate Hotel, and that's where Barry Manilow does his, whatever it is, weekly, 10 times a month thing, where he does his shows there. So lots of fun. So obviously I was at Dice Tower West, had a great time there. But, before we get into conventions and all that, we got a lot to talk about today. Lots to talk about. So let's get right into what's happening over at Portal Games.
At Portal Games, since the last episode, I'm well prepared for what happens at my company. So first item, press release of the week. We announced the final details about Season 1 Detective. Detective Season 1 will be pre-released at Gen Con and then released in the fall season. And in this box you will find 3 cases. One case is the Natural Causes that was first published as a demo, as a free case on the internet, and for the couple of months people were able to play it, and now it will be officially part of the Season 1. We have one case that is all about the mystery in the family. You are visiting an old mansion and there is a dead body and somebody from the family or people in the house did it, so you have to solve it. If you like Agatha Christie novels, Mrs. Marple, this is what you will love. And the last case we announced will be all about Italian mafia and the dark fight for the control over the city. So very interesting. 3 very different cases. Once again, a very short message to everybody. Detective Season 1 is a standalone cases, not a campaign, easy to pick up, easy to play. So this is what we announced in our press release in these past days. As for the brag of the week, because I want to brag, so everyone knows about my successes. And on a serious note, Detective made it to the top 150 on BGG. So this is a huge success. As we know, there's thousands of games in the Board Game Geek database. So being in the top 500 or being in the top 250 or being in the top 150 is a super achievement. So I'm very proud of me and my whole team. And if I can say on behalf of me and I guess Steven and I guess every other publisher, the one thing that you gamers can do, if you like the game, if you played the game, and if you had a great time, go to Board Game Geek website and rate the game. Just whatever it is, a Stronghold, it is a Terra Mystica, it is a Terraforming Mars, and whatever game. If you like the game, just few clicks, but all these clicks all together help these games go higher and higher in the rankings, and therefore we get more access to the new gamers, because new gamers will discover these games. So a small gesture from you gamers, if you like the game, this the least you can do for the designer. Just give him a rating, it will help a lot. So that's what happened with Detective these past few days. News of the week, we started a pre-orders campaign for storage box for Imperial Settlers. So this is very important thing to communicate. The best, of course, you go to our website, portalgames.pl, and you read the whole press release. But storage box for Imperial Settlers is a huge, epic, big box that is basically empty because it's a storage box.
Are you selling a box of air? Is that what you're going to do? Is there going to be something in that box extra that you can't get otherwise?
Last podcast, we were discussing how we can earn more money. You remember the question from the fans, so we had brainstorming at the office. On a serious note, of course, there are very expensive plastic inserts. There are three plastic inserts, three plastic inserts, and the whole thing stores the cards from all expansions, of course, the base game, and what was the huge task for my production department, also all the promos. So you can imagine how many promos I did over these many years, some convention tiles, etc. So they had to hunt down all these promos, count how many promos I designed over these many years, and this storage box absolutely fit everything. And on top of that, we added a epic rulebook. So it gets all the rules from the expansions, all the keywords, all the FAQs, etc. So you have one booklet that sums up all the rules from these many years of releasing the game with all the new expansions and skills, abilities. So huge thing. But if we are talking about something fun, it is basically empty box. It is empty box, but for the fans of the game, it will be huge. And the one very important thing, I will be mentioning this for a couple of episodes, but this is the first time we are doing something that is website exclusive. So this is the product that will not be in the distribution, not at retailers, not in a Cool Stuff INC or another web store. This is only website exclusive for Portal Games because the production of this item is very expensive. Steven knows how much plastic inserts cost. So if you want to do a custom plastic insert for the small print run, because it's only for hardcore fans who own all the expansions, it is very expensive to produce such an item, so we can have it only on our website. So website exclusive, don't look at it at your local game stores. Tease of the week, Gamma announcements are coming. Gamma is taking place in a few days, so we will announce 2 or 3 products. I'm not sure. My team is preparing some last preparations. And my invite of the week, every other time I invite you to watch my vlog where I show how I design games, how I publish games. This past week I had record views. I don't know why. I wish I knew. But we had almost 4,000 views on my recent video. I was talking about the Asmodee changes in the customer service. I was talking about the changes in distribution in America. So apparently, very interesting episode. I said almost 4,000 views. So check it out. Portal Games vlog. Apparently, very interesting stuff. That's what's happening. A lot of things happening since our last recording. If we can add some super not important information, since our last recording, when Steven was doing all his guest of honor appearances all over the place, I visited 3 doctors. So this is me being a special guest of honor of 3 doctors. More to come next week. So I'm having great time here in Poland.
There you go. You go. We're going to talk more about illnesses and things in just a little while.
I know.
But it's interesting that so you've created like your own segment here. It's like the brag of the week, the news of the week, and the tease of the week.
That's also
and the invite of the week. This is like it's
we are getting professional, better and better.
We're getting better and better. And here's another invite of the week. Everybody who's listening to us should go out onto the Board Games Insider Facebook page and like the page. We got over 1,000 new likes in the last few weeks because I invited my friends. So Ignacio's going to do the same. And everybody else who listens, please give us a click over there too. And, give us a good rating on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. All right, so Stronghold Games, what's happening? I'll talk again about the releases just released. Fast Slots Next Holiday, the expansion. And they just did a Board Games game night. That's the video when they play the game on Board Game Geek. They play it with basically the same group. Sometimes they change it up out there in Los Angeles. And they loved it. And it played wonderful. Please go out and check it out. So if you're like, slots are cool, but I don't know. Freedom of Free, sometimes I like them and don't. Check out their full playthrough of the game. I think you're going to really get a good feel for the game, and you're going to end up liking this game because it really is a great pick me up and deliver me game. You're a sloth, you're lazy. The other animals will help you out. The other game that's just came out, Nova Luna, Uwe Rosenberg. This game got so much play at Dice Tower West. All excellent reviews by the people who played. It was getting It was getting tweeted out during the show, so people had a great time. Check that out. It was just released right at the end of February. That's Nova Luna by Uwe Rosenberg. On April 8th, we will release the second expansion for the Pursuit of Happiness. Live the life you've always wanted. It's called Pursuit of Happiness Experiences. So check that out. Coming in about a month, April 8th, Pursuit of Happiness Experience, second of the expansions to the Pursuit of Happiness. And then on April 22nd, Ripple Rush, which is our 7th roll and write. We demoed this. So we had a very small booth at Dice Tower West. It's not a big selling show. So we figured, you know what? We'll just scale down. We still sponsored the show. We're still up there in front. It was really great. A lot of traffic at the booth. But we only were occasionally demoing one game, Ripple Rush. I only had one copy. People were going crazy. If I had 4 dozen copies of this game, I would have sold them all. And I don't know if you saw the postings I was making. We literally sold every game that we brought to the show.
I saw it. It was very funny.
It was like the first day I'd sold out of like 10 things. And the next day I'd sold out of 5 more. The next day, so it just kept going. And then the last picture I have was completely sold out. So we didn't bring a lot of any one thing, but we brought a lot of different things. And literally everything was sold out by the last day. So we basically closed up at 12 o'clock. I'm like, I'm going to hang out and go get lunch and play some games. It was
that's awesome.
Yeah, it was a great time. Shout out to Royal Cannell, who's the chief ambassador at Envoy, who helped me in the booth. Great guy. Thank you so much, Royal, for helping me out there. We're going to have a lot of big upcoming news. I keep teasing upcoming news, Kickstarter news, so stay tuned for that. I'll mention the con appearances upcoming. This week, by the time you hear this, I will be at the Gamma Trade Show, now called Gamma Expo. I don't know if you know that, Ignacy. They've rebranded Gamma Expo. That's March 9th through 13th in lovely Reno, Nevada. Cold and snowy, maybe. Oh, I hope not. Then March 20th to 22nd at the Arizona Game Fair in Phoenix, Arizona, where I am the guest of honor with Gil Hova, who replaces the ailing Ignacy Chevicek, who could not make it this year, hopefully in the future. April 3rd to 5th, Southern Board Game Fest in Lafayette, Louisiana. Another guest of honor appearance for my good friend BJ Rojas. Can't wait to be there. April 10th through 19th at the Gathering of Friends in Niagara Falls, New York. Maybe Luke and I will do another one of our recordings there to keep things going. Why not?
Yep.
I did cancel my trip to China. That's a good idea, I think, under the current circumstances. That was going to be the end of April. It was very discretionary. It was not a personal trip. It was business discretionary. We're going to talk a little bit about coronavirus in a second. And then we get into May conventions. We'll get to that next year. So next episode. So that's it on the con schedule. Ignacy, any cons you're going to be at soon?
Don't even get me started.
No, okay. He's going to get better. We're going to get him better. All right, let's get over to the event deck.
The event deck. Here's the latest news from the board game industry.
So the biggest thing, like in the news here, Ignacy, and I'm sure in Poland as well, is coronavirus, COVID-19, as it's been designated now. And we've had multiple cancellations of varying degrees, including Emerald City Comic-Con, publishers pulling out of Emerald City Comic-Con over the coronavirus concerns, though the show will go on. This is coming up this coming weekend, by the time you hear this. CMON Expo was canceled. I believe CMON Expo is in Atlanta, Georgia. Isn't that right? I'm pretty sure it is.
I think so, yes.
Yep. They do an annual show, small convention, obviously, just for their stuff, just in Atlanta. I don't know how many people it gets, probably a few hundred. If I'm wrong, please correct me. Bruno Feduti's Gathering of Friends in France has been canceled.
What accuracy.
What?
In Etoury, the south of Paris.
I don't know exactly where in France. Okay. South of Paris. That's been canceled. And a few publishers and distributors have pulled out of the Gamma Trade Show, the Gamma Expo. So do you want to comment first? I'm going to comment first because I have a very strong opinion on this. Ignacy, if you have an underlying health condition, particularly respiratory infections, prone to them or whatever, if you have an underlying health condition, then don't board a cruise ship or an airplane at this time. So in general, if you're sick in general, do not travel. We can't go through our lives being fearful. When's the last time you heard, Ignacy, of anybody complaining or of worrying about the flu? Like getting the flu, the regular flu?
Never.
Well, never. Nobody complains about this. Do you know how many people die every year of the flu? Tremendous number. In this country, I'm sure across the world, tremendous. Nobody talks about, I'm scared, I'm not going to travel during flu season. So this entire thing is ridiculous. Now, I'm not telling you, people listening, what to do. So don't sue me if you do travel and you did get something. That's not what I'm telling you. I'm telling you got to be smart. Don't be fearful. The world is not coming to an end. Fear causes panic. It causes problems in the economy. It causes crazy things. So don't be fearful. Be smart. Wash your hands. Maybe don't go into like big crowds at your grocery stores, maybe. But do the traveling that you normally would do. I'm doing more traveling now, not because of coronavirus.
To prove your point.
Not because, it's to prove. No, it's not to prove I'm not doing it because of it, but I'm doing it just because I have all of this traveling going on. I'm not going to go to China. I had a potential trip to go, but it was very discretionary. So I said, okay, I won't do that. But every other trip I was going to make, I'm doing because I'm smart and I know that I'm a healthy person and I'm not at any risk. And if I did get it, I would then quarantine myself and get over it, and I'd be fine. That is my Bonacor rant of the week. Be smart, not fearful, wash your hands, do all the stuff that makes it smart to do during a flu season. You'll be fine. And if you are sick, have an underlying health condition, stay home, don't go on cruise ships, don't go on airplanes. Ignacy, please, anything you want to say?
Yeah, I just very short because I discussed this topic in my vlog that I recorded this week. It is not yet posted, but when you are listening, it is already posted, so you can see my whole rant about the coronavirus. I was looking at this problem from the perspective how it influences our industry, because this past week there was a major story from Italy, the biggest board game convention in Italy, Modena Play Fair. Was moved, so it is not cancelled. They just moved the schedule, and it will be not in April. It will be in May, hopefully. And based on that, I started showing our viewers of my vlog what else is happening in our industry. All these moved releases of the games, problems in China with the manufacturers, potentially more conventions cancelled. So on one hand, you are talking about this human behavior, how we can stop panicking and just act as nothing is wrong happening, just be healthy. But whatever we will do, things are happening. Like big cities are stopping conventions because they're afraid or because there's a law like that. Manufacturers in China are not working as they should because of the coronavirus. So whatever we will say in this podcast, and however we will encourage people to not panic because nothing is happening to you right now. It will influence this year our industry. Now I'm sure. That will be my prediction if we are recording this episode today, because I'm seeing as it is rolling out. This is the idiom that we can say, rolling out the news.
Yep.
It's really influencing us on a many levels. So yeah, we will see what will happen. But I totally agree with Steven. Be smart, because panic is the worst advisor.
Yeah. During World War II, the statement was, you have nothing to fear but fear itself. Don't fear. Just do the right things. Just be smart. And wash your hands. It's just a good idea, man. Just a good idea.
It's always a good idea.
It's a really good idea. If you want to fist bump or not touch people and just put your hands behind your back, and you bow to each other, right? So let's bow. It's very, very good, like in Japan, instead of shaking hands. That'd be very good. All right, here we go. Gamma rolls back 2 requirements for their retailer appreciation box. So at the Gamma Expo, Gamma Trade Show, all the retailers that show up receive this very big box of gaming products. It's their, it's the appreciation box. They get all this stuff for showing up at the show. And Gamma put a number of requirements for retailers who are attending the show to get that box, which has a value over $1,000. So it's pretty significant, and it certainly offsets all the costs associated with being at the show. In December, they had expanded the requirements for gaming to get that big box of products. But now the requirements have changed, and they removed some stuff. To be eligible to receive the Retailer Appreciation Box for attending the Gamma Expo, retailers must pre-register and already by February 14th. That helps us know what to put in there, how many. And then they must attend 9 premier presentations. They dropped the demo night. There were some requirements about like going to demo nights and taking a certain amount of demos and going into the hall and talking to publishers. So it was an interesting thing to do that. Obviously, we want to engage more with the retailers. That's why we're there. That is the only reason for me to be going there. Take meetings with some retailers, but also, of course, with industry people, but really to engage with the retailers. So they removed some of these things. Ignacy, as you can tell by my voice, I'm not exactly sure this was a good idea. What do you think about it?
First of all, I would like to say that me commenting on this news very openly and transparently would be much more dangerous for Portal Games than coronavirus. So this is my first statement.
So you just want to say that you're not very happy about it, right?
Yes, I will be very subtle. So of course, this news is... I really don't like this news.
Yeah.
Let me look at this very subtle on only business side of the news. So every publisher has a chance when they are going to Gamma Expo to rent or to get a chance to have this demo night. So we are renting a table. It costs quite a number of money to have these demo tables, and then we will be able to play with the retailers' games. And so I was skeptical about these demo tables, but Portal Games USA decided to have such a demo table. So Portal Games USA invested some money to have these demo tables this year. And now I'm reading the news that basically no retailers were interested in these demo nights. So because that's how I read this news, that Gamma decided to step a little bit down with this what they need. Yes, so I'm wondering if I paid for the demo table and then my team will be sitting at the empty table because retailers are not interested in demo nights. Very, very confusing news. I really don't like it. I don't want to say even more, but we were talking about this a few weeks back when there was news that Gamma forces retailers to go to demo nights to get these free games. And I was already wondering if the retailer is there to learn about the new games, why they have to bribe him, basically, giving him free games. And now they are saying, well, basically, don't go to the demo nights. We will give you free games anyway. I don't like it. Let's move on because I will say too much.
I just to finish it on my side, I completely agree with you. I think, look, you're getting all this. You should. You should engage as much as possible with all the publishers, particularly the ones who put the stuff into those boxes. So, yeah, I don't know that it was a good idea, but it's not going to cause me, loss of sleep. What else is happening here? So more Gamma elections. So Gamma announces candidates for the 2020 Gamma Retail Division board. That's a positions on the that are part of Gamma. Gamma is really for the manufacturers, but there's a retailer division as well, and there's going to be 4 positions open. And they've announced that they've taken the nominations, and now they have the people there that are looking to get voted in. The tenure of the seats are going to run for 2 years, and each one is going to have time to address the people at the Gamma Expo, and then there'll be a voting there at the Gamma Expo. So this is one of the main events that happen there. Even though Gamma is a manufacturer's for the manufacturers, it's our organization. They have added onto that the ability for retailers to have a seat and a say. So hopefully some very good retailers are stepping up. I'm looking at some of the names here. I guess I can mention them. So the incumbents for the election are Eric Bigglesworth, John Coviello, I know him well. David Salisbury, know him very well too. Jennifer Ward, and his new challengers, Nick Cross, Jake Krajewski, and Eddie Marmol. So wish them all good luck in getting those board seats. The more engagement we can get with retailers, the better.
There's a great news on my side because I did a prediction in a prediction episode that we'll talk 5 times more about the elections than about actual Gamma doing something for me as a manufacturer. At this point on my list, they changed the name, Games Expo instead of Game Trade Show, and they have a Gamma election. So I have 2 news about things that happen, and they are not actually doing something good for manufacturers. So 2-0, great news. Keep them coming.
I'm going to take everything out of the show notes that says Gamma on it from now on to the end of the year. Great stuff. All right, so one more, and this is a really, really big one that came out of Asmodee USA. It's an update to their parts replacement program. So as of February 18th, 2020, if a game is purchased in the US that has damaged or missing components, so this is a sealed game, that has damaged or missing components, please return to where you originally bought the game for assistance. For further information on this process and more, please see the contact information list and read our parts replacement FAQ below. So Ignacy, Asmodee North America is saying, if you bought a copy, no matter where you get that copy from, it's in shrink wrap, and you got your receipt, and it's missing a meeple, or it's missing some punch boards, or it's missing, or something inside is damaged, they're not going to replace anything. You bring it back for a refund at the place you got it, or, of course, an exchange at the place you got it. I find this very significant for our industry that the biggest, by far, manufacturer, publisher is going to do this. Ignacy, do you want to give any comments before I give mine?
First of all, I would like to thank Asmodee because probably this is the reason why my vlog has so many views, because I discussed it in my vlog.
That's right.
And once again, being serious, very interesting thing because as I understand behavior of the gamer, if they are missing a token or they are missing a meeple or something like that, for them to go to the UPS or any other shipping company and pack this game and ship it to the cool stuff INC or another Amazon.com, yes, and then wait few days to have it shipped back with the new copy. It is so much work for air quotes, of course, so much work for the customer that they will probably say, oh, whatever, I can play without this meeple. So very interesting how players will react if they will actually put some work to exchange this thing, because so far they were just sending email and then a few weeks or a few months later, they were getting these 3 pieces. Now they have to put some work to actually get these pieces.
Absolutely, what you said is correct. It's going to prevent a few things from happening here, right? So a lot of times in our games, we put into the game. I'm just going to make up a number. We put in 50 cubes, 10 by 10 millimeter red cubes, whatever, and that's a good in the game. It's a product, right? And you got to move it around the board, whatever, right? But the number was very arbitrary, right? We could have put in 43. We could have put in 40. We could have put in 56. We put in 50. It's a nice round number. That's what we put in. You don't need 50. You never use the 50th cube. But if that gamer got 49 cubes, he makes sure that he wants that 50th cube.
Correct.
Right? And that, do you know what the cost? And people don't quite understand this. The cost of sending that cube out within the United States alone, the postage alone is $3.50. Plus, I got to pay somebody to do that. We have had to outsource that because it's a lot of work to do that and stocking it all. So the cost is astronomical. And in many games, you lose money on the game because they were missing 1 cube that they didn't need. So Asmodee is going to stop that issue, as you said. People will just say, yeah, you're right, I don't need it. I'm not going to go through this hassle. Also, there are, and I'm sad to say this, there are a lot of gamers there are a number of gamers that may not be honest about the game. They might not be honest, and they just want something extra. They bought it secondhand, and now they want more cubes. it happens, and we've shown it. And I can't give you statistics on the percentage of requests we get, but you can see when they come in very often that they don't talk 100% about how they acquired the game, or that the game was damaged when they bought the game, but now they want a new box. So you can see the way that they talk about it, that they shouldn't just, by default, have something free shipped to them, and that's what they're looking for. So Asmodee is taking this and saying, okay, you're going to go through a process to get it back. You're still going to get a game the way you want it, but it's going to be on you to do some work. You ship it back to Amazon or Cool Stuff, or bring it to your local game store. Now, Amazon is happy to take things back. They do this all the time, right? So they don't care. It's nothing for them to do it. The local game stores are going to get hurt a little bit because they're going to have to go through this process. The local game store will, of course, get a credit with the distributor, and they'll get a free copy of it to replace that copy. So there'll be a process there, but they're going to have to go through a little bit of angst, aggravation to make it all happen. Not the greatest thing for a gamer, but also it is protecting the incredible expense that even a very large company is going through due to this. So we're not changing our policy right now, but who knows in the future what's going to happen. I mean, it's just a very interesting move by the 800-pound gorilla in the room.
Yeah, and this is the news that, as Steven said at the very beginning, it is very big, so we could actually talk about this for the half an hour, because there's so many other levels of this news. I saw, probably you saw it as well, a ton of posts from retailers.
Sure.
First of all, they were complaining they never heard about these changes before they were announced, which is not very cool from Asmodee. And then what happens? I came to my local game store with the Ticket to Ride. I want my Ticket to Ride, the new one. The store doesn't have it, so I have to wait. The store has to order it. Maybe the game is out of the print, so it will take 4 months to wait for the reprint, or maybe the game will be out of the print. Like, there's so many layers, so many problems, issues that may happen. And at this point, there's just this update, because actually, I don't know if you look at it carefully, there was actually not the official press release from Asmodee. They was just adjusted the terms, and of course gamers found these changes, and there was a whole discussion. So very interesting news. Once again, I want to thank Asmodee for bringing views to my vlog, because I was discussing this in my vlog. And let's move on, because this episode is getting longer and longer, because we had a great news this week.
That's right. Let's go down to the strategy and tactics.
Strategy and tactics. Some advice for you from Board Games Insider.
Okay. Colton Crowther, who is Worth Dot on BGG. He says, hey, Ignacy and Steve, I've been listening and enjoying your podcast for about a year. Thank you for your hard work and making it. Promos seem a common way to keep gamers' attention on evergreen titles. Oh, yes, it is. Is it possible to have too many promos, though? I'm talking about promos that don't add any significant substance to the game. Well, Colton, I mean, it's a simple thing. The answer is, in my opinion, no. I mean, because someone wants it, or, of course, if you don't think it adds anything, then you don't have to buy it or stock it. I mean, right, some promos are free. You go to a convention, you get handed to you. Some you got to go buy on BGG, because it'd be $3 for one card or $5 for a pack of 3. So if you look at it and you say, I don't think it adds, then that is your decision to not add it into your game, whether it's free or not. Simple as that. I don't think there could ever be too much material that a publisher adds to the game. It's the consumer that makes the decision whether it's worth it to get it and add it to the game or not. Ignacy?
Yes, for Robinson Crusoe, I designed so many promo items. These are new beasts, new discovery tokens, new event cards. Like, there's so much content I designed over the years, and I have no clue how many of them I designed. I lost track of all these promos for Robinson Crusoe. Yeah, there's a really ton of this additional content, and it's exactly as you said. It adds in a very subtle and very nice way replayability to the game. So I played Robinson Crusoe, let's say 20 times. I want something fresh, I want something new, but there is no new expansion announced. But I can go to the web store, I can go to a convention, buy 2 or 3 small things for $5, and my next game of Robinson Crusoe will be different, because I got these new, beasts, or I have this new event, 5 new events. So this is a very nice, smooth way to increase replayability for the hardcore fans who played this game so many times and they want something new, but there is no new big expansions in the work, so we can give them some fun. I like designing these promos. As I said, I have no clue how many I designed because there's so many of them, and I know the players are appreciate. Some of them they love, some of them they say they were not good. But this is a very, very nice way to add replayability to the evergreen titles.
Yep. Jason Huffman, who's Dark Lord Huff on BGG. I know that name. He says, "Hi, Ignacy, Crokinole champion and master of predictions. Boo!" And Steven. I used to like Jason. "I have been listening to your podcast from the beginning. My question is basically, how familiar are you with various graphic design tools, InDesign, Photoshop, Illustrator? Which ones do you find most important to be knowledgeable about? I'm guessing that Ignacy might be more familiar given the design work he has done, but would be interested in what you both find critical, acknowledging that you may have graphic designers do the majority of the work." So, the quick answer on my side is I have no knowledge about how to use any of these tools. I get the smallest amount of Photoshop. I mean, literally, I haven't booted it up now in a few years. So, no knowledge. I don't think Ignacy or I certainly not me, and I don't think Ignacy needs to have any knowledge whatsoever about these tools. Ignacy, what do you agree?
Yes, this is true. Back then, when the company was one or two people only, this 20 years ago, of course, I had to prepare all these files by myself, so I knew how to operate this software, but it was 20 years ago. So over these 20 years, of course, the software changed. So at this point, I know what's the purpose of this software. I know what my employees can achieve with this software. Sometimes I go to them and say, "Hey, change this and this and this," and I know that they can use this software to do it. But myself, I don't use this software anymore. I'm happy to have people to do that.
Yeah, exactly. And like so when I get the file back right from the graphic designer, and I'll then use I'll mark up the PDF and I'll circle things. I'm like, no, this is ugly here, and you got to move this over here. So you put marks and arrows and you type comments in various places, and I send that back. I don't need to know anything about what's it called? It's Adobe Creative Suite, which is Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign. I don't need to know anything about those products. They're amazing products, and they're complex beyond all belief. So that is something that's way outside my knowledge range, and I give all the kudos in the world to people who actually know those kinds of things. So not for me. Josh Lowe, who's Loey J004. "Hi, Stephen Ignacy. Been listening for about a year and really enjoy the show. With Stronghold starting to use Kickstarter again to publish games, which other publisher would most surprise you guys if they announced they were launching a game via Kickstarter?" Asmodee. They'll never do one unless it's never. The only thing I could possibly think of is if they were going to do a game that's like, $500 or something crazy like that. That would be the single most surprising thing.
Yes, I looked at the Board Game Geek and browsed to the publishers to see, and we have either the publishers like GMT who do the war games, and they are in a different, I would say, zone of our hobby. We have all these studios from Asmodee, so Fantasy Flight Games, Days of Wonder, etc., etc. So they are not using Kickstarter anymore. We have companies like Renegade Games, like Stronghold Games, like Portal Games, who started to use Kickstarter recently. And we have from all these people who were not using Kickstarter yet but might use, I would say Yellow, maybe AIG, maybe, but many companies already are using Kickstarter. Like this is it happened basically.
Yeah, Renegade got into it last year as well. So as you mentioned, yeah, I guess if he's asking me for the most surprising, it's absolutely going to be Asmodee. But I would not be surprised if any other publisher that we can come up with did a Kickstarter. I would not be surprised if AEG did one, though I don't think that they will, because they've restructured to do 4 games a year period. As you mentioned, somebody else. I forgot. Yellow, yeah, Yellow would be a great one. I think that they might do one. Sure, I have no knowledge of that, but I would not be surprised if they did. Only Asmodee would be surprising. When you've got more money than anybody in the universe, you don't need to, and they've got great relationships with distribution, and they can do more research on print run sizes and stuff. So that's about it on that. All right. Luke O'Rafferty, who's Luke O'Rafferty on BGG. I've been listening to you guys for the last couple of years here in the UK. How do you find the skill sets differ between designers and publishers? Completely different. How do you prioritize between time, cost, and quality of a project? Would you delay a project if you noticed minor errors in production? Would you rather compromise quality if it meant you could sell a game at a target price point? Wow, there's a lot of questions. Let me take this one at a time because he's got a lot of questions and they're all pretty good. So skill sets between designer and publisher are very different. I mean, it's completely different. I always say I'm not smart enough to be a designer. Ignacio's a much smarter man than me. He's creative. He can create the design itself, and that's amazing. That's an amazing skill set. I can be back there and I can be a great spokesperson, and I know what a great game is because I'm a gamer, and I can do all the business. So that's a big difference. Ignacio, right? Agree with that?
Yeah, so the designer is a creative person, publisher is a business person. Like these are two different hats, two different jobs.
Right. And how do you prioritize between time, cost, and quality? And I think that, well, it doesn't really go into the next thing. So I think that I always say about a game or about a project, it's fast is good, but good is better, right? So I want everything done absolutely as fast as we can. Let's get all the files ready. Let's get everything ready. Let's make sure all the costs, everything is done. I want as fast as possible. But if that's going to introduce errors, no. Then we have to take our time because having it right, having it good is better.
Absolutely. We had this famous situation that overall ended up with the problems anyway, but the first Martian was first scheduled for 2016, but I was not happy with the game. We thought it is not still ready as we moved the release for 2017, and the question back then was, if you are losing money, if you are moving this release, we'll spend more months developing, we'll spend more months waiting for release. So we decided to move the release. Other than the game had the bad reviews anyway, but we had this decision and we made decision better for the game to postpone the release. With us, of course, we have the schedules, we have the times. My development team knows exactly when they have to finish the design, and when we are getting closer and closer to this time, we have a conversation. Are we okay with the project? Are you satisfied with the project? Can we proceed to production phase, or no? They need 1 or 2 months more of developing, and then we have to update our schedule. There is no situation in the history of my company that we decided to publish the product that we felt that is not yet ready. It is from my perspective, is impossible.
He asks, would you delay a project if you notice minor errors in production? What's a minor error is the big question here. If it's a typo in the rule book, no. I mean, then it is what it is. If you misspell something, but if the wrong components were in the box, well, then that's a huge error, and therefore we would delay a project. I assume that you'll agree with that.
And we can once again give a real life example. We did together the game called Stronghold, and when we produced the game, and the feedback we get very early was that the rulebook is not very good. It was written by me and my team, and it basically was terrible. So we decided, let's rewrite the rulebook, let's print it once again, let's add it to the boxes, and then put the game on the market. So we basically delayed the project to make it better. So it happened, and this is the only way we can work.
Right. And the final question is a really hard one. We'll just touch on it a little bit. Would you rather compromise quality if it meant you could sell a game at a target price point? It's kind of a leading question, Luke, because the problem here is, what does that mean? I mean, I've always said you can't put gold in a box and sell it for $50, right? But if instead of, I don't know, making instead of making a meeple 12 millimeters, you made it 10 millimeters, and you can save X amount on the cost, is that a compromise in quality? Well, it's a compromise on the component. And in fact, if you can bring it down to a price point that makes sense for the gameplay, right? The gameplay and the time and experience, that's all very relevant to the price point. So not compromise on the quality, but to change things around to get to a price point is definitely something you do.
Yeah, for us, for Portal Games, I have the employee we mentioned sometimes in the podcast, Greg, who is my production manager. And once again, a real life example, we are releasing this year at Gen Con Detective Season 1. And the base game of Detective cost, I think, $50. I'm not sure, but I think this is the price for US market. And for Detective Season 1, we were aiming at $35, so $15 down. So that was the job of Greg to find out how we can shake things in terms of the components. So the components quality is still good, but it is lower because the price point will be so much lower. So we will see how the audience will react, how the customers will react. I am happy with what Greg proposed me. I accepted the vision of this new product, but that was exactly dancing with all these components and trying to find solution a lower price point, so a little bit lower quality of the components.
Very good. Very, very good. Let's go over to our play testing segment.
Play testing, where Ignacy and Steven question you.
Very quick question, and I think I know the answer, but this is a question for you and of course for our listeners. So for you, I think I know the answer, but let me ask you, do you play solo board games?
I do not. I don't play solo games.
Yeah.
Do you?
I expected that you are not playing solo because you so much love people and parties and interaction with other people, and you're extrovert. Yes, this is the word.
Yes.
So I imagine for you playing a board game is like meeting people, and
Yes.
additionally, I have something on the table, right?
Yes. Yeah, and a beer. So you're
And a
right.
beer.
I don't. Do you play solo games?
I started playing solo like 2 years ago when I found Arkham Horror LCG, but this is one of the very rare games I play solo, and I treat it like this is something like playing a role-playing game for me without the game master. So this game, Arkham Horror LCG, is so strong in terms of the theme. It has so great narration, so I'm closing myself here in the room. Mary is not at the home, and I'm just discovering these mythos and Cthulhu monsters, and I'm living this adventure. But usually this is exactly as with you. I just prefer to stay with my buddies and have mean comments and play Rising Sun on Blood Rage and doing mean stuff to each other. So I prefer to play with all my buddies, but sometimes I play solo. And of course the question is for our listeners,
Yep.
how many of you plays solo? Because we see, I see it very clearly, there is much more solo players these days than like 3 or 4 years ago.
Very, very good. So please go to our Guild on Board Game Geek, find the playtesting thread for this question. Do you play board games solo? And post your answer there and have a nice discussion about it. All right, let's get to our final scoring.
Final scoring. Here's how you can stay in touch with Ignacy and Steven.
Hey, thanks so much for listening. Help spread the word about this podcast by telling your friends to download Board Games Insider wherever they like to get their podcasts. To ask us questions for our strategy and tactics segment, you must post them in the correct forum in our Guild on Board Game Geek. Board Games Insider has a Facebook page. Check us out there. Many, many likes. Give us a like, too. And, of course, do our companies. Go check them out at Facebook/Stronghold Games and Facebook/Portal Publishing. Company websites, of course, strongholdgames.com, portalgames.pl, and portalgamesus.com. Please go there and sign up for our newsletters to get up-to-the-minute information on Stronghold Games and Portal Games. You want to talk directly to Steven and Ignacy on social media, Twitter, @Stronghold Games and @ChevyCheck. We have Instagram accounts with the same names, and we both have YouTube channels. We hope to see you at an upcoming convention, Gamma Trade Show, as you're listening to this, and then I'll be the guest of honor all the time. Ignacy, he's going to be staying at home for a while.
Not funny. Not funny.
Please share your love for Board Games Insider with your friends, guys. And by the way, this show is edited by Matthew Jude from This Game Is Broken podcast. And if you'd like him to edit your podcast, contact him on Twitter or email at thisgameisbrokenpodcast@gmail.com. Ignacy, maybe I give a little news this week, something secret?
Absolutely. We want this.
Okay. Just something small, but hasn't been announced yet. But Stronghold Games will be doing the German roll and write game, which is called Gönnen Können. Don't ask me to say it right, and don't ask me to tell you what that means, because we're going to be changing the name, of course, for an English audience. It's very popular in Germany. It's also by Schmidt-Spiele. We're going to be calling it Divi Dice, and it's going to be our 8th in our roll and write series. That'll be coming out late in the spring. This is again with Schmidt-Spiele, again at that nice $20 price point, impulse buy. If you like roll and writes, this is going to be another great one in the series. And I have more things I'll tell you next week when we get there. Ignacy, Thank you so much. And thank everybody for listening to us.
Thank you. Stay in touch. Stay with us. Like our Facebook, as Steven said. Like us on iTunes, and see you next week. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Board Games Insider with Ignacy Cevicek and Steven Bonacore. Board Games Insider has been made possible by you, our listeners and hobby board game enthusiasts. Ignacy and Steven thank you greatly for your support of their companies and the hobby board game industry. Follow both Portal Games and Stronghold Games on Twitter, like both companies on Facebook, and sign up for their newsletters on portalgames.pl and strongholdgames.com. Please join us next time on Board Games Insider.
You're listening to the Dice Tower Network, the home of smart people, insightful board gaming commentary, and Steven Bonacore. Find out more at dicetowernetwork.com.